NFL fans, what's good? We're here to cover the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles Thursday night football. Give you our tips, our input on how it's gonna go, who's gonna win, whatnot. Probably some fantasy input too, maybe a little bit,
A little bit of everything
a
in
little
your
bit of
life.
everything, a little bit. Zach, why don't you start? Who you got winning the game and why?
I'm gonna go with Philly.
Okay.
I just fail to believe that Jalen Hurts is gonna play that bad 2 games in a row. And I think Minnesota is a good game to get your bearings straight on that defense against the Philadelphia offense. So I'm looking for Philly to win. I hate to say it, but they might be by a little bit. I dare say like more than a touchdown.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Like, they let Baker score twice on him, and Baker didn't look great, but he didn't look horrible either. And like, I think the one thing Minnesota's rushing defense actually held up really well, but
Hmm.
that's kind of the issue with playing against the Eagles, right? They can attack you from the run, but they can throw it over the top of your head too. They got
I don't
Devonta
think
Smith and AJ Brown.
I think the Eagles defense is going to cover this game for them. To be honest with you,
I
I
wouldn't be
don't think
surprised.
people realize how elite that defensive line is.
I mean, and they added Jordan Baker too.
If you get a chance to go see Jalen Carter, his
Jalen
highlights
Carter.
from week one, that dude's so elite. Like
Mm,
I know he has to put it on the field a little bit before he gets a fair comparison, but he's Aaron Donald like for real.
100%. I have no problem believing that.
He caught a bunch of shit. People think he can't stop the run, but it's like, you know what? That team is so elite. They're putting their best run stoppers up against what they believe to be the run. And if you can put Jalen Carter on the field to simply get to the quarterback in passing situations and he could pin his ear back, it's going to be a long day for Kirk Cousins.
Well, people forget too that like not only that, but the defensive tackle, if it causes pressure in the middle, they can't run the ball down your throat. Like that's just not an option anymore. Not that
And
the
they're not,
Vikings are good at that, but
I was about to say, it's not like they're kind of known for their running anymore anyway. So,
no. But I mean, to take away an entire option, just one player, right? And then those pass rushers are dogs too. Like that's not something to sleep on either.
and not to necessarily pick on the Vikings and think that they're garbage because Justin Jefferson is as elite can get.
True.
Addison looked good. Hawkinson can get his job done. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like some of those receivers for New England got loose against Philly last week, and so I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings can get some points.
Do you think this looks similar to how it was last year when it was a blowout, Philly beating up on Minnesota?
Probably.
Yeah.
I just feel like Philly's gonna get it together. Like they're too good to play like that. They were so elite in the beginning of that Patriots game, and then they just disappeared.
I almost feel like it could be an opposite kind of game for them where like maybe Justin Jefferson comes out, breaks out one big catch, maybe for a score, maybe Jordan Addison, something like that. Alexander Madison gets a runoff that takes to the house. But then the second quarter and on, I feel like the Eagles could dominate that game, you know?
Well, that's how I feel about it because if the Vikings don't get the lead early and they're relegated to simply passing situations to try to catch up, and Philly can guard it in that manner, it's gonna be a bad day for Vikings fans.
It could be. Any optimism for that defense? Like score wise, what are you thinking here?
Score wise, I'm going. Man, I'm looking something like 27-10.
27-10. I can see it. Eagles are favored by 7 right now. The over under is at 49, which is kind of high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking that's a 28-21 game to push. I don't know if it gets that high. I'd probably go under on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would feel safer that way.
Me too, 100%. You'd be begging for a shootout otherwise, and I don't know if Minnesota's line is going to be capable of protecting Kirk Cousins that long.
I don't think they're going to be able to cover him at all.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying like the Vikings have to get up early, like dump the playbook early and try to get you a lead because you don't want to be, like you said, going into the second quarter down by 10 points, 14 points, and you're like, fuck, we got to pass our way out of this because
Right.
you're not going to catch Philly that way.
No, not a chance. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I take Philly by -7 to cover. Probably under 49 points though, because I don't know if Minnesota's going to be able to do anything. Any IDP players that people should be looking for fantasy wise?
Any IDP players, fantasy wise, actually, I did have something written down.
Okay.
Hang on. It's kind of weird to do with Philly because how they rotate people.
Sure.
But then also like Nakobe Dean got hurt, so I'm not sure what they're doing for their middle linebacker.
Sure.
But like, I just think like, man, I don't think anybody on their D line gets a killer game. I'm going Darius Slay, big game Slay, because he just shows up for Philly. You know what I mean? Like
he did lock down Justin Jefferson last year,
and that's not easy to say.
mm-hmm.
But from a Viking standpoint, IDP sleeper maybe only because speaking in fantasy terms, Kenneth Gainwell obvious sleeper in this game for Philly.
Well, he's out for game 2.
What?
Yeah, it was announced earlier today, so you probably didn't see it. But
are you sure that is it Gainwell or Penny?
Gainwell is out for this game.
Regardless, Philly's still going to run the crap out of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny are going to be must starts in deep leagues.
And Jalen Hurts runs the crap out of the ball. So I'm going to say, like, Ivan Pace Jr., the linebacker rookie from, I believe, Cincinnati for the Vikings, he might get quite a few tackles this week.
I like it. That is definitely a sleeper, and probably a name that not a lot of people have on their IDP rosters right now.
It's hard to pick a receiver from Philly as a fantasy like favorite because I just think they're both going to get good looks. It's just a matter of Jalen Hurts finding them when they're open.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like, you obviously, if you have A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you're obviously playing them. Like, that's not really even up for questions. I think it's everything else surrounding their roster. I mean, even last week, if you look at, like, Dallas Goedert, basically, he didn't catch a ball. I don't even know if he had a target.
It was at best. But on the flip side to that, I think that if there is a weak link on the Philly defense, that their linebacking core isn't as strong. You lost T.J. Edwards because your White went to Arizona. Yep. Nakobe Dean's hurt. T.J. Hawkinson might be a really good play this week. With the pressure that the D-line is going to put on Kirk Cousins and Hawkinson able to probably get away from linebackers, Hawkinson is kind of might have to have a big game.
I can see it. I mean, even last week, 8 catches, 35 yards wasn't really like an amount to something weak, but still probably good enough to be tight end 1 or 2 after not having Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews for last week. So, yeah, I think that about does it. Honestly, I don't think there's anything else for us to cover. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let us know if we missed anything. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.